Hi, friends. Welcome to Law Chat with Girija. My name is Girija Patel. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I am a podcaster. I am an educator. I am a businesswoman. I am an entrepreneur, and I'm a lawyer. I truly believe in the power of mentorship through storytelling, and that's what Law Chat is all about. So whether you are in 6 months or 10 years of business experience, we can all learn from each other's experiences because we face the same challenges and we have the victories and we have mistakes that we're all making. So why not lean into them and know that we're going to be fine and we're going to be okay and we're going to be inspired. And of course, this is Law Chat with Girija, so we will be talking about some law at some point during the conversation. And if you love what you hear today, which I know you will, then subscribe to Law Chat with Girija and share the love. So grab your coffee, sparkling water, or wine, and let's dive in to the next inspiring mentorship session. Hi, friends. Welcome to Law Chat. When you hear the words balance, integration, work-life balance, or I want to live a life that is best suited for me, where all my little buckets are in balance, I think that's the ideal world that we're all wanting to chase after, or an ideal world that we are thinking about, but we just sometimes don't know how to achieve it because it's really hard to feel that balance in the present moment that you might be in. My guest today, Geomyra Pollard, is a well-rounded life and biz coach for professionals, creatives, and working parents that aspire to create and live with grace, passion, and purpose. I had the amazing opportunity to meet her over the summer at the Creative at Heart conference, and she happened to be in my smaller group where I gained lots of wisdom from her and learned so many amazing life lessons as well. But I cannot wait for her to share her journey with you. I love her energy and I love her presence, and I just cannot wait for you to also feel that and energize yourself and reboot the way you think about yourself and your life. So welcome, Geomyra, to Law Chat.
Hello, and thank you for that intro. And all you got me thinking now I need to be more energetic and exciting and all the things.
No, you be you. You have like the sense of like, I'm the boss. And I love that. I don't even know if you know you have that.
I did not, but hey, I'm going to work that today.
No, and some of the things that when I was at this conference and some of the things that, some very well-known creatives in our little creative industry, talk about, some of the stuff that they were saying about you was she is so classy. She's a class act. She knows how to respond in a way that people understand and they also back off. And I'm like, that is the boss thing. That's a total boss thing. Like, it was wonderful.
I love that. I'm going to remember that too when I respond. Try to be classy. And try to make it good.
You are.
Don't be ratchet. So yes, I will take it. But no, thank you. And we had the best time at the conference, bonding, and our group was amazing. And I feel like it was just really great, authentic conversation. And so I'm very grateful that I was placed where I was, because I don't think I would have wanted to be anywhere else because of the connections that came out of that group.
Yeah, I think that group had the harder conversations going in our group compared to the other ones that were happening. And these, just for your reference, when you're listening, there were some big conference, speakers, and then we would have breakout sessions, and the breakout sessions would be just for the groups that you were assigned to. So sometimes they would be reflections on what the conference speakers had just spoken about, or just some other stuff that, And so we were a very diverse group, not just with what we were teaching as coaches and strategists, but also just our backgrounds, where we're from, and, everything, our cultural backgrounds and everything like that too. So a lot of different perspectives were in that room, and some hard conversations happened, and it was really nice.
It was great. And I feel that it was very much, transformational for some people. And it really made them think outside of their bubble and to actually get a front seat to what everyone's, like, some of our day-to-day struggles are, and how, even though we're at the same place, at the same conference, we're still treated differently, outside of that conference. Like, it was great. And I really am glad that I was there.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And I wanted to talk to you about how did you get to where you are today? And this whole law chat, it's about the entrepreneurial journey and learning from the guests on how they started, where their dreams started, and then what was the course of that. And so where did your dreams start?
Oh, I love this question. So, it's interesting. I reflect on my childhood, and when we were growing up, my mother and my dad, they would have parties like all the time. My mom celebrated everything. And so we always had people at the house. And when I was in high school, my house was jumping. They had this idea that if all their kids were at home, they knew where we were. So they were okay with having all of our friends come over, and they knew we were not doing anything crazy. And so I've just always loved the idea of celebrating any and everything. And then when I went to college, I knew off the break that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. No one in my family's an entrepreneur. It wasn't like a thing, but I just knew I wanted to own my own business. And very transparent moment, I actually wanted to own a strip club and a restaurant. Crazy, I know. I know. I don't know where.
Can we
I don't
pause
know.
on that for a second? Why did you want to own a strip club? And did you want to own a restaurant with the strip club, or was it separate?
Oh, all of it. I had this idea. My job was probably like 17. So I don't know if I saw a movie
Hilarious.
and I saw the potential, because obviously I hadn't gone to any strip clubs or anything, but it was an idea.
Potential.
Yeah. It was the idea to have like, for ladies on the first floor, guys on the second, classy, all the things. So you could come, guys, girls, whatever. And then it would have just really good food. So even if you just didn't want to entertain any of that, you could still have really good food. So I knew I wanted to have some type of business, but whatever I did, I wanted it to be different. I didn't want it to be like a hole in the wall strip club. I did not want it to just be a wing joint. It had to be like everything.
That
So
is
I went
hilarious because I'm just now thinking, and not that I absolutely do not go to strip clubs, but I'm wondering, do they exist where they have boys and girls, or like men and women in one strip club? I don't think so.
I haven't seen it.
That would have been a
So
disruptor. You would have been disrupting the industry.
listen, I'm telling you, and it was a dream for a while. And my mom was like, is there something you're not telling me? I was a really good kid, I promise you. Then I went to college close to home. I went to George Mason University. And when I went to school, I majored in business management, and I also minored in tourism and event management. And so the year that I was a junior, they introduced a wedding and event planning class. And I was like, oh, okay. So weddings, events, that sounds fun. I needed a credit. So I took the class, and it changed my life. It really did, because it was the first of its kind in the entire country. And I met my mentor at the time. I just went all in this class. I got an A++, and it just was awesome because it opened up the idea that you can make money planning parties. Like, oh, okay, this is great. And I graduated in 2006. And that summer, I opened up my wedding planning business and then took off from there. And so I did weddings and events for about 12 years and overlapped from the time of when I started doing coaching. Because then I ended up going back to school to get my MBA when I was pregnant with my son. I do not suggest that, folks. A master's program and a newborn, terrible idea. But pushed through and did that. And I did that with the idea that I was going to mentor and coach other creative entrepreneurs because I felt like I was being called and pushed to do something else. And it has been an amazing ride. I love it so much. I also know this is where I'm supposed to be. And I just find joy in helping other people with their dreams, so it's great. So that's how I got to where I am, strip clubs and all.
Oh my gosh, that has been the highlight of all of my guests that I've had.
The crazy thing, a lot of people don't know that, or that fun fact, but my husband, he will tell you because my husband and I met in high school, but that was my dream. And I was literally going to college with the idea of I was opening up an entertainment spot. So
oh my goodness. And thank God you went to that.
Listen, thank God for weddings and events, the class, because God knows what kind of life I would have had.
So so you started your business back then, the
Mhm.
event planning business, right?
Yep. Right out of college. I also had a job. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. So
Mhm.
I worked for the federal government when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I worked way too much as a young 20 something. And so I did my government job and also ran my wedding planning business, doing that
Wow.
on
What was
weekends.
your government job?
So what was my title? Office administrator, I think was the title. It was like clerk type of work. So,
Right.
input this in the computer, do some, what is it, Microsoft Access? Does that even
Oh,
exist anymore?
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, see, I'm showing my age. Access, Excel, all that
Reminded me of something.
data, all of that. That was the kind of stuff that I was doing back then. And then I was going to school full time when I worked for the government, going to college full time. I had a full time job,
Wow.
and I was again doing too much. I look back and I'm like, why? Like I
Yeah.
didn't have to, but my drive was always there.
Right. And then so when you started your business back then, and then of course that was like a side thing that you were
Mhm.
doing, did you transition from the federal government to full-time event planning?
No, actually, after the federal government, I got a job at a private equity firm. And at that job, I was an executive assistant to one of the managing partners. And I did that job for about 10 years alongside
Wow.
the wedding planning business because it was a great job. And I always had two jobs. And I felt like if I can do both and do them well and make money in multiple revenue streams, why
Yeah.
not? And so I did. And the job was not challenging, very transparent. So I was able to do both. And then it came a point when I had my son, and then I was also diagnosed with fibromyalgia and all of that, where I was like, all right, something has to give. And so I gave up that job and then fully put myself into weddings and then coaching.
Wow. I was going to actually ask you, how did you manage to do full time and then also have the event planning? And then what were some of the challenges that you might have faced at that time? How
Uh,
did you manage it all?
I feel like, did I, when you look back? For me, I think the biggest thing is having a support system and a team. My
Mhm.
husband also worked weekends. He is in new home sales. And so he was gone on the weekends. I was obviously gone on the weekends doing events. And so my in-laws, who are phenomenal, they would take the kids like the Saturdays that I would have events. And then so it was me dropping them off, going to DC, doing an event, pick them up at like 1 in the morning, or my husband would pick them up if he got off, before me, whatever. But for me, I would get up at 5 in the morning. It was an hour and a half commute each way to get to my job from where I live to get to the city. So it was an hour and a half commute going, an hour and a half commute coming home. Then I would come home and then I would obviously do the mom stuff, dinner, bath, all that. Then I would jump on the computer and do work and schedule emails so that it didn't look like I was sending emails at 1, 2 in the morning. And I would go to bed around 2 and get back up and rinse and repeat until I couldn't anymore.
I hate to interrupt this awesome conversation, but I have to stop and talk with you about the number one thing I'm asked about by entrepreneurs: contracts. They're vital to any business relationship and to protect your business. But I also know that entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting up, money is tight. But I would never want you to compromise on a strong legal foundation. So enter yourcontractbuddy.com, a website created by me with contract templates created and drafted by me and fellow industry partners. They're ready to use and easy to plug in immediately, and they are not restricted to any specific state. So yourcontractbuddy.com is sponsoring this episode, and you and your listener can get 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. Yes, you heard me right. 10% off right now with code LAWCHAT. And now back to our awesome conversation. Oh my goodness.
It was crazy.
It's crazy, but that was a season that you were in. And I think a lot of people are in those seasons many times where they are doing all the things and using all the hours of the day that they can.
Right.
And so then when you transitioned to basically, now I'm not doing this anymore, it's like something's got to give, I have to let go. And you chose to keep, obviously, your event planning business. And was that a hard decision, or was that just like an easy peasy, of course, this is what I'm going to do?
I think it was a mix of emotions, to be honest, because if it's all I knew, like having another fixed income, knowing every 2 weeks I was getting a check. I had 100% coverage on all my benefits. It was amazing. Like everything, it was a great salary. I felt great in that. But I had a conversation with my husband, and he kept saying for years, like, you just need to quit and really just throw yourself into what you are passionate about, what you really love. But you're scared. It's the fear, like, is this going to work? What are people going to think if I leave? If I fail, can I go back? Because it was a really good job. But you get to a point where you're like, life is too short, and if I don't take the leap, I'm gonna just every year be just even more mad that I'm not where I feel in my spirit I'm supposed to be. So it was definitely a lot of prayer, a lot of conversation, a lot of running numbers, a lot of like, okay. I kept telling myself, listen, if I have to put on a red shirt and some khaki pants and go to Target to get me a part-time job to make sure we do whatever, I was very much humble enough to know that if I needed to just get a few more dollars a week to supplement the income from the weddings until I got to where I wanted to be, I was open to that idea as well. Wow. I didn't end up having to do that, but it gave me a backup plan. Like I felt that before I go back asking for this job, here are some other steps or things we're going to entertain before we do that. But my husband, he was just like, we'll figure it out. And I got you guys. And honestly, that's where we are. And it has, knock on wood, worked out for the last couple of years. So it's
yeah. I love how you said, I will humble myself, because there are times we get so fixed on what we will not do, even though, and I say that because even though it's not like, there's certain things where I'm like, no, that's a deal breaker. That's never going to happen. But these are not deal breaker situations. These are not like misalignment of the values situations, but this is just a true ego versus humility situation. Yeah. But I like how you said that, because there are times we forget to do that. We forget to humble ourselves to move forward.
But something else I want to add there too is I think a lot of people get hung up on what other people are going to think. Yeah. Like, okay, if I do take this other job, or if I do some VA work for someone else, or if I do, again, work at the Target or the grocery store, or whatever, just to get a few extra dollars, that people are going to have an opinion. But they don't need to know everything. Everyone doesn't need to know everything in your business, everything that's going on in your family. I like to work with my head down, hustle with my head down. And then people can look up and say, oh, wow, this is what, she's done or created. I just think we are so consumed with social media because everybody's life looks so perfect, but you don't know what it took for them to get there. You don't know what they did in their hard season. And as long as you know what your big goals are, okay, I'm taking this extra money so that I can put my kid in a better school. You do what you have to do if it means that it's in alignment with your goals for your family.
Very well stated. And I completely agree with you. A lot of times we are wondering what others are thinking, and then that stops us and pauses us in our route to our goals and the destination that we need to go to. And truly, the idea is to keep your head down and just keep doing what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then when you were going to your master's program, like, where was that decision and how did that decision happen?
I always said I used to joke with my husband. I'm like, you're not going to one up me, with these degrees in education, because he went to college and then he went right into his master's program. I was burnt out by the time I graduated because I also had a full-time job and I was doing both. So he went right in and I needed a break. Like I needed a break, but I kept saying, there's no way that you're going to have one degree more than me. So I said, okay. So then it came to a point when I was like, I really want to get into this coaching thing, but what I want to set me apart from other people is I have the hands-on experience. I had been doing weddings for almost a decade at that point. So I have hands-on, but I want to back it up with the education. Like I want some receipts to say that I've studied business. I studied entrepreneurship, like specifically in my program. And so because of that, I wanted people to feel confident that they had someone that studied business and also lived in it for a long period of time. And so that's why I decided to go back to school to get my master's, because I knew I was transitioning into another career path. And I wanted to just be solid with how I started out.
Right, right. And I think that's so true because when you are creating your authority in a space, education does play a role, experience plays a role as well. And
Right.
that was a really smart move to actually just go ahead and get your MBA. Now, was your MBA in entrepreneurship or is
Yes, business, obviously, but then the concentration was small business and entrepreneurship.
oh,
So
that's
I
wonderful.
picked the program specifically because I knew I wanted to work with small businesses.
Right. And then so when you got out of that, what did you do then? Like when you were like, okay, now I have a baby, another baby.
Another baby. I said, thank you, Lord. I cannot believe I survived. So that's the first thing I said. When I got out of it, honestly, I was just more invigorated than ever because I had more time. So, I was down a job. I was finished with the master's program, and my kid was, a couple months old at that time. So those sleepless nights weren't as, bad as they were before. So I started to just put everything together. And so before I launched my business, you put together a website, you do all the LLC stuff and the fictitious name, like all of those things. I made sure I did right that the second go around, because I feel like when I did weddings, it just took off and I didn't have time to get everything like just done the right way. And
Right.
so I learned from my experiences to just make everything just as solid as you can. When I did weddings, when I started, my contract was 2 pages long. By the time I was done with weddings, it was 8.
Yeah.
So you live and you learn. And so I wanted to make sure that it was just like tight, everything was solid. And then I launched the second business.
Oh, that's awesome. I like how you actually prepared yourself and as entrepreneurs, a lot of times our habit is to just jump into something and then
Right.
figure it out.
Yes.
And it's really nice though, because you learn from the first jump that you really need to figure out certain things beforehand. And it's not to stop you from the jump, but it's just to prepare for a better fall. And
Oh, I
so
love it. Yes.
like even for you, like getting your LLCs and getting your contracts prepared in advance was just literally preparing you for a better flight at that time. And I like that you did that. I was just, talking to have, potential new clients that call and we talk and my consultation. So a lot of times what I hear from them is that, okay, well, I hope I don't ever have to use you, but if I do, I'll call you back. And I'm like, you really still need to like
Have a,
prepare yourself,
right.
get your LLC there. If you don't have it, get that
Yeah.
contract in place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always like, I hope you don't need me for litigation, but you do need me for your business foundations. You're like
Absolutely. You
business
do. You need,
investments.
and I know a lot of people want to save money, but if you just listen, one of the biggest pieces of advice I have is to hire an attorney to get it right the first time, because it will cost you so much more money later on for them to clean up your mess.
Yeah.
Raise his hand, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if that's one piece of advice, is find someone that you can connect with. Try to find someone that's solid and that is within a reasonable price range for you, and then have them do whatever they need to do getting you all set up, because now you can use your free time and go get clients and go make the money to be able to pay them. But you're trying to do all these things. You're not an attorney. You leave it to the experts. The same way I would tell my wedding clients, people in the wedding space, listen, you expect your clients to just give you the respect as the expert, so you don't want them to question so many things. You have to do the same thing when it comes to your attorney and it comes to other people that you need to get your business in order. Trust the experts and give them the same respect that you expect your clients to give you.
That's very nicely stated again. Usually I talk about the whole law aspect, but since we're here, we can kind of hang out here for a little bit. But I truly believe that having legal as a line item in your business is very essential, whether it is a couple $100 or $1,000 or whatever is comfortable for you. But it really helps you then integrate legal into the operations because it's already assigned a spot in your business. Whereas
Right.
just going to it when you feel the tension, but again, it's too late by that time.
Yes. And then you're scrambling to find the money to do it. And so if you are at a point where you're working on a new budget for the new quarter or the new year, try to figure out how you can put the line item, as you said, if you need to get your LLC or your trademark or all of those things going, put a line item in there. And if you have to sell one more package or get one more client of your own to make it happen, do what you have to do, because you want your small business to be, reputable, and just for people to respect what you are building. And you don't want it to be janky. Like it needs to be solid, and you need to make it a priority.
Keeping it solid keeps you also confident in what you're doing. And it helps you really show up in a stronger position, essentially.
Yeah. Your foundation, if your foundation is shaky, like, my contract is a little loose, or, not really, I don't have a business license or a legal business. God forbid somebody sue you, or, your stuff is just all the way wrong. You don't have the time, the means, you can't afford not to get your stuff have it all the way together. Like you have to make that a priority.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Well, let's move forward from there. And so you started your coaching business soon after you set up the LLCs and got your ducks in a row.
Exactly.
And then what were some of the hiccups? Were you still doing event planning at that time, or did you kind of put that to the side and you were doing your coaching? How did that look?
So I had decided that I really thought I was going to do weddings and coaching together. Like I was just used to two jobs. But it came to a point, with health stuff out of my control, where I was like, maybe I need to pick one, concentrate on that, and then, see if I can do something else. But it was one of those things where with weddings, when someone hires you as a planner, usually the wedding is like a year out, a year and a half. So even though I was not taking any more clients, I had my website down, like I was totally done, had a whole little retirement, whatever. I still had weddings to execute because I was contracted to execute them. Right. But let me tell you that, and it was a holiday party too at the end of the year from one of my corporate clients. But that was celebratory on all levels because I was 12 years of doing that job by that time. So 12 years of any job and you're moving on it's a bittersweet thing. But I was excited for what the next chapter held for me.
I think that's so true. And it's like that transition when you first know that you're about to do it. I feel like it's more bitter at that time. But then as the time goes, your mind is also getting ready for that transition. Right. So the ultimate last few days before the true transition happens, you are more ready than you ever thought before. And you're like, okay, I'm ready to close this up and get into the next stage of my life.
And you know what'll happen? You'll look and be like, what the hell didn't I quit sooner? Like, what was I afraid of? Like you really start to think that, because that's what happened with me with my corporate job that I had for 10 years. I was like, I could have done this sooner. I know me, and I know that I don't want to go without. So I know, again, I would have put on a red shirt and some khakis, or I would have said my pleasure at Chick-fil-A easily if it meant that I got 3 hours back of my day. Because again, it was an hour and a half each way. And I ran the numbers and I'm like, 15 hours of my week is just commuting. That's a part-time job in itself. I was like, this is wild. So, be on this commuter train or work somewhere where I can get milkshakes and waffle fries. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Numbers
tell a story, not just in your financials, but in how you're spending your day and how you're spending your week. And I like how you broke that down to 15 hours. I didn't even think about that, but that's so true. That is so true. That's a part-time job and you're putting it all on the road. That's stressful. I mean, and just traffic. Ugh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was on the train. Now I read a lot of books and did a lot of puzzles. I will tell you that. And it was my quiet time from the work noise. And then I was jumping back into another job as a mom once I got off the train. But again, when deep down there's something else that you want to do, or your time could be spent in another area, you're like, screw this train. I'm ready to soar. Like, I'm over this. And so that was me. And I wish I would have left earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back to something that I feel like is a very common theme amongst most of my guests, is that sooner than the actual leap is taken, that this is the direction you need to go into. But the fear is what's stopping you, or the fear of what people will think, or the fear of well, can I make this work? And they're all legitimate fears. They're not something that should be discounted. But then what helps is the preps. What helps is
Absolutely.
actually doing the number crunching and to see if it really works and having these conversations with your loved ones and the support system that you have on if I do this, what's the support I can get from around me?
Yeah. And I think, again, and I like how you brought up the point, like, listen, we're not saying it's easy at all, because there have been some tears, there have been some back and forth. You'll have the devil on one shoulder and the angel, like, you can do it, you got this, girl. And you have someone's like, yeah, right. You have like this internal battle. But at the end of the day, you got to trust your instincts, and your personality. If you're a hustler, you're a go-getter, that, this is not for the faint of heart. And if you got one client, I'm pretty sure you could go out and find a way to get two.
Exactly. And there's enough people out there that need you and that need
Again,
the
yep.
services that you're providing. So let's fast forward a little bit. And now you are a coach to
Yes.
professionals and creatives, but you're not just teaching them how to run their business, but you're teaching them how to live a well-rounded life. And I truly love that. So tell me about what you're doing now.
So, it's interesting. Amen. We don't do balance over here, because the thing is, I don't care if you have a 9 to 5 or if you have a small business, there's always that pressure, especially for women, that, okay, work-life balance. I'm going to do 8 hours at work, then I'm going to come home and I'm going to do this, and everything's going to be ordered. It doesn't work like that. And the thing is, I have 2 kids. One, it will be 12 in March, and my son will be 7 this month. So kids, I've been, mom for a little bit. So with me, my family is everything. And the idea that I would ever put my job on the same level as my husband and my kids is crazy to me. So, you can love your work and be amazing at your work, but they will replace you in 2 seconds if you leave that job. Your family cannot replace you. And so I have had clients where they're like, oh, but work, and if I don't do this, I'm like, girl, if you got hit by a bus, your job would be on, what is it, Indeed, so fast. So you have to remind yourself that, yes, this is important. Yes, it pays the bills, but is that job everything? Is it worth your kids growing up saying, oh, my mom or my dad, they work so hard, and, they're on someone's couch saying that they didn't feel like they were a priority? Like, that's not cool. So the work that I'm doing is that I coach small business owners that, they're ready to either like scale their operations. Like, business has been great, it's been booming, but like now it's maybe just too much. Like, it may be overwhelming. So maybe we need to adjust your pricing. Maybe we need to add a service, take something out. So it's very much hands-on and intimate based off of what my clients particularly need, but with the ultimate goal to make sure that their home base is solid and it's tight. And so, my company is Living Well-Rounded with Geomyra, because the idea is I want my clients to feel like they have a profitable business, they're killing it, they are feeling fulfilled there, but then also that they have time to hang out with their kids, to have dates with their kids. I always encourage them to have dates with their kids and plan fun things with their kids, and also one-on-one. Like, I have 2 kids, but it's important to me that my daughter feels like she has me, and my son and I can do, stuff just us. And then the year my husband and I we were engaged, from then we had a weekly date night. So this will be, but we just, what year is this? Geez, 13, we've been married 13 and a half years. And so we've had a date night for about almost 15 years, once a week. And we treat it like it is a business meeting. And we treat it with the importance of, listen, if your boss told you that you need to be at this 9 o'clock briefing meeting, you're going to be there, right?
Right.
Treat your meetings and dates with yourself, your children, your friends and family with the same respect, and it'll go a long way. Like, it's non-negotiable. But the work that I do is just mainly giving people permission to set boundaries, giving people permission to do the things that just bring them, joy. Because if your cup is fulfilled in all these different sectors, then you can be a better boss. You can produce at a higher rate. You can show up to work with a smile. But even though you're taking care of your kids, your family, your clients, I also want to make sure my clients are taking care of themselves. So, people say self-care, like, oh, they think spa and this and that. No, self-care could be going for a jog. It could be reading a book. It can be going on a vacation, just with your girlfriends, if that's what fills you up. So just making time, taking inventory of the things that matter most to you, and then figuring out how we can work that into a well-rounded sphere of the things that make up your life overall.
Just amazing. So I feel
like,
that
preach. I see your face.
I'm like, I love it. I love it all. It's so true. And as working parents, or whether you're running your own business or whether you're working for someone else, you a lot of times have where you feel you're stretched, you're feeling, and then a lot of times you do put that importance into the business or into the company that you're working for, because that puts the food on the table. Right. And I get that, but I also feel that it is so important for your family, especially your children, to know that they're important too.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing. I would really hope once it's all said and done that my kids feel like I was available to them, that I made time for them, but also that they know how much I love my work. They know how much that I like going to work. I like serving. I feel like the job I have is one of service, because it helps other people in their lives, and it's like a domino effect. And so I just want them to know that you can have a family, you can have a great marriage, you can have time with your girlfriends, you can also have a career. Sometimes you can't do it all at the same time. Sometimes you do have to put one ball down and elevate something else. If you're a creative, or someone that's, again, a coach or strategist, or someone that's like in the middle of a launch. Anytime I'm doing a speaking engagement, like I'm preparing for one coming up next week, my family knows right now it's like grind season. So I'm not as available, but once it's over, I'm free. Like, I'm here, let's do things. So we have things planned. I come back on a Thursday, and on Sunday we're going on a mini trip to New York, and they have me. So they have something to look forward to, but I'm not trying to take care of them, take care of this, like get preparing for this. It's one of those things where I know where my attention needs to be, so I can kill it with the presentation, and they're giving me grace to leave me alone. Don't come in this office if the doors are closed, but knowing that I'm not going to be thinking about work, when we have our time together, in the city. Like, we're not doing that. It's all about you guys. And so I'm serving my clients, but I'm also making sure my kids, they have all of me. And that's important.
That's one of my biggest things, also, like pet peeves when I'm traveling with family, like for a trip. I want to be completely and 100% present. So, and I know it's happening. Like, everybody knows that, yes, we're going on this vacation. Like, if you or anybody listening, if you're going on a vacation, you can prepare for that. You can prepare in advance, so that 3, 4, 5, 6 days that you're taking off, you can be 100% dedicated to the present, rather than thinking about, oh, but this client or that client, or I need to respond to this email. You don't. And it's going to be okay. There's nothing that is that important where time is running out and you can't get to it, because hopefully you've already taken care of that before you left.
That is true. And there will be things that come up every now and again. I mentioned my husband's in new home sales. And so his job and my job is 100% commission. So there is no check coming in every 2 weeks. So we are in sales in some capacity. So there will be times on a vacation where he'll say, okay, do you mind if I take this call from 9 to 10? And then from 9 to 10, I might be getting the kids dressed for the days for the activity. So his presence is not needed right there. But I understand that, listen, sometimes if you don't take the call, we may not be going on anybody's vacation. So I'm very much aware of that, but it's very strategic where, all right, now the ball's in the client's court. I don't have to deal with them for a while. Right. Let's go get ice cream. Let's go do whatever. But it comes down to planning and communicating to your partner, to your kids, to your team, that you need to be here or there, or you need a break or whatever. But communication is definitely key in all of this.
I agree with you. And I'm glad actually that you pointed that out, because there are times when you might need to take that call, or you might need to do it. But again, just being on your phone, or because of the phone, like everything is accessible. Like, you're constantly accessible by everybody all the time.
24/7.
Yeah, 24/7. And so there's one thing like, hey, I just need to take this call for work, XYZ. But it's another thing when it's not important, or if you're doing it way too much during the time period that you've actually set aside for family. But For somebody that's out there listening today and they're just trying to figure it out and they're trying to figure out how to create that well-rounded life, what would be some of like some tangible tips on how to start or where to start and then how to actually implement it?
I think the biggest thing is I always have clients do exercises where I ask them to envision what their ideal well-rounded life looks like. If you could work-life balance, like what does that look like? If you could do all the things you said you wanted to do, if you want to get your health in order, if you want to have more time, in with scripture or devotional or meditation, if you want to have more time to do certain things, what does that look like? So write everything down, and it's a great exercise if you take what is like a calendar and you do block scheduling and you say, all right, every morning I would like to get up and work out and eat a healthy breakfast. And then I would love to take my kids to school, but then I would just like to do emails. Like if you literally take inventory of all the things that you say are important to you, then we can determine how we need to spend time and adjust or whatever, name it. So then you can place it in a bucket and do all of that. If you are finding that you want to do all these things, but you just work way too much, well, what can we adjust in your work? Is it maybe you might need to raise your rate so you're focusing on quality over quantity so that you're not constantly, let's go back to the wedding example. Wedding planner, instead of doing 30 weddings a year, so you're gone 30 weekends out of the year, maybe we do 15, but you elevate your client experience. So the thing is to determine what it is that makes up your version of your ideal well-rounded life. So then you can establish how it all can fit together in rhythm and harmony. And it's not going to be easy, but it's something that can tweak, ebbs and flows. But it's important to make it clear and communicate. It is important to me that I work out. It is important to me that I cook healthy meals for my family. And if that means I have to log off of work at 4 o'clock to do that, then what needs to change in my business? Do I need to get help? Do I need to get a VA? Do I need to get someone else to do certain things so that now I get an hour back that I can pour into them? So it's taking inventory of the things that matter most to you. Take an inventory of how you spend your day. If you have distractions, like social media is a big distraction for a lot of people, put some timers on it, limit it, and I can guarantee you there alone, you'll get some time back to do the things that you say you want to do. But take inventory, communicate, and just figure out a way to eliminate the things that don't make sense and set boundaries so you can protect, what you create once you put it all together.
Awesome. And what are some tools that you would suggest that, people can use to help them eliminate, set boundaries, and, figure out also what's important to them?
I think again, I'm old school, pen and paper, like legit write it down. So you can say, you know what, I would love to have a date night with my husband. I would love to have wine Wednesdays with my girlfriends, whatever it is. So write it down. I use Google Calendar. I know there's so many different calendar apps and all the things, but I love it because I can color coordinate things and I can see where my time is spent there. On the business side of everything, I think that there's some apps as well to help you keep your focus, and then you can switch gears and figure out where your time is spent there. But I just think overall, when you just take inventory of the things that you want to do, then we can determine what tools, resources, and things you need to use. On a personal side, I mentioned meal planning and all the things. At the end of the day, there's 24 hours in a day, right? So you want to make sure that every minute, every hour is accounted for. So, off the break, you want to have 8 hours of sleep. So you already know now 24 minus 8. So we got to figure some things out within there. So when it comes to like meal planning and meal prep, I use a software called Plan to Eat. So that eliminates the what are we having for dinner question instead of hours of me trying to figure it out or me ordering takeout all the time. I can give my family those healthy meals. I can plan for it. And then I'm saving time. I have 2 courses, Systems for Your Sanity, which is implementing systems in your home. And then I have Systems for Your Creative Biz, which helps you create systems and workflows in your business. And I bring them up because systems will change your life. If you have a system on how you do things, it will allow you to free up some more time to make room for all the things that we just said are important to us. And so in the courses, specifically Systems for Your Sanity, I teach how you can reclaim your time by doing certain things and implementing certain systems. So it's a step-by-step, self-paced course, but it's a game changer because it then allows you to take those hours that you're saving, and then now you have the time for the date. Now you have the time to do more reading. Now you have the time to get back to getting your scripture on, or working on your new launch or your new program or your new offer, and all the things. That alone will just save you lots of time.
I love all the advice that you just gave and completely agree with it. In fact, it's so funny. I just jumped off of recording a solo episode, and I was talking about goal setting and all that good stuff. And part of it was just literally like, what's the life that you envision, your lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
And write that down and start from not the work that you need to finish, but the other important things that you want to do in life, whether that's going to a child's game or whether that is like a date night or, something that's important to you.
Absolutely. I love it.
Making sure that's integrated in the beginning, so that way your cup is full.
Yeah. And a great point you just made there is that when you name the things that are important to you, those are the non-negotiables. Yeah. Then you fill in the blanks. A lot of creatives will build, a business, and then the business is the core, and then their family has to figure out, how are we going to fit in around this business? No, the reality of it is you should be building a business around your family and what works for you. Do not have your business being everything, your job being just everything, and then your family gets the scraps and the leftovers. Or even if you don't have, children or a spouse, you are also deserving of doing the things that bring you joy, because you get one life. And at the end of it all, you don't want to be like, I was a workhorse. I just worked. Because again, they're going to replace you really quickly via Indeed or monster.com, LinkedIn. They're going to find a replacement for your job. So knowing in the back of your head that you get one chance, I just hope people operate differently, knowing that there are people who work 4 hours a day, 4 hours a week, and they're millionaires and they figured it out. Yeah. So you can figure it out if you as well. So, and another tool, when you just mentioned goal setting, power sheets. One of my friends, Laura, she has power sheets, and it's great, especially in the beginning of the actual goals planner. It's because it's a lot of reflection before you do goals. Instead of just jumping in and say, oh, I want to do this goal or that goal, it forces you to set intentional goals, and then you can start to build everything around the core of what is important to you. So that's why I love those.
Power sheets are from Cultivate What Matters, right?
Yes, Cultivate What Matters. And they have a whole bunch of other helpful resources, to, again, help you cultivate what matters. I always say focus on what matters most. And they have a similar mantra where they're creating tools to help all of us busy bees figure out how to manage it all.
They have wonderful planners. I used to get them, and I'm just using a different planner now because I'm part of this other organization, and they give their planners, and it's pretty fantastic as well. But Cultivate What Matters has fantastic planners. They also have great journal books and things like that too. It's a great spot. I'll put the link to their shop in the show notes.
Yeah. And you also have to send me your other planner. I'm always I'm a digital planner person these days, but I really want to go back to the old school way, planning, stickers, and all the things.
I write it. It's like all written out. It's like, I cannot. The digital thing is, it's my calendar's there, the Google Calendar, but I like to write it. I just feel like I love crossing it out.
I really am going to try to do both. But I like the color coordination. Like, I know what's happening. I know if I see blue, that's for my boy. If I see purple, that's for my girl. And green is some bills need to be paid. Like, there's some things that I could see it. So I do want to try both though.
This one is, I'm part of this organization called CEO School, and it's like a membership program, and it's really cool. I've been a part of it for a year now. I love it. Great community of women who are like-minded. And so it's just one of those things. And so they have like a quarterly box that comes into your house. And that quarterly box includes this amazing planner part of it. And I'm obsessed with it.
That is so awesome. And it's great. And I love how you mentioned the word community. You have to definitely be in alignment with people that have similar goals and things that are important to them. And another tip really quickly, when you are trying to figure out your well-rounded life and you have established it, you can also choose to only work with clients that respect your boundaries, respect the things that are important to you, and they understand that you're not going to be answering emails at 9 p.m. because at 9 p.m. you might be Netflixing and chilling with your spouse. So only work with people that understand what your personal mission and core values and beliefs and things are as well. That is okay.
Absolutely, 110%. And also, don't be scared to share that
from the beginning.
From the beginning. Well, I loved talking to you today. You had so much information to share, and also your journey was. I loved your journey. I loved how you had these other dreams, and then you were now, but I'm going to do my MBA.
Buy strip club. Maybe next lifetime.
There is nothing wrong with an honest living. So if you're
make your money, girl.
That's totally fine. But yeah, thank you so much for being here with us today. And before we say bye, I wanted to know two things. One, what is a book that you are just like, this is the best thing, please read it? Whether it's fiction or self-growth, anything.
So I sound like a heathen now, but the Bible is my favorite book. And it's honestly because there's so many life lessons and just words of encouragement, like straight up, it is. And again, I sound like a heathen after talking about the strip club, but on a business side, a book that I really like, it's terrible. A book that I really like is Crush It by Gary Vee. I read that book in the beginning, and it just also to me had like very inspirational things there. So those would be my two personal and then business book that I really like.
Okay, awesome. And how can the listeners reach out to you and connect with you?
So easily to find me, if you go to Geomyra.com, the blessing of having a unique name is you have your domain name easily to get. So Geomyra.com, it'll take you to all the things that I have going on and also the courses that I mentioned. And then on Instagram, I am, my new handle is at I am living well rounded. So come say hi in the DMs. Let me know that you found me here on this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Geomyra, for being a part of Law Chat with Girija.
I love it. Thank you.
I don't know.
No, thank you for having me. This was awesome. So much fun.
Thank you so much for joining Law Chat with Girija. I just love these kind of conversations that are motivating, inspiring, but truthful, raw, and honest about all of the challenges, all of the victories, all of the triumphs, picking ourselves back up again. I just can't think of a better way to get mentorship but Law Chat with Girija. If this was helpful to you or this was inspiring to you, please share the love. You can give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to this channel. You can also share this with your community by taking a screenshot and posting it on your social media and tagging GBP Law. When you do that, a lot more people will be able to see this video that not only benefited you, but also can benefit them as well. So let's share that love and let's share that inspiration. And if you want more information about what I do and other resources, go check out gbplaw.com or yourcontractbuddy.com. And I look forward to seeing you next time.